Hello again, YouTube. This is The Truth Man giving you the truth, and I want to talk about Vladimir Putin and this Russian versus Ukraine conflict. Now, somebody brought up an interesting point. When the U.S. had their conflicts with people that Russia had relations with, Russia stayed out of it. Here's the thing. I knew that when Biden got into office, I knew that we would have some type of war or be strongly on the brink of one. I just knew it. Because Biden, if you haven't been paying attention, doesn't always think before he talks. And Biden has in his mind, while he's in his safe little bunker, if push come to shove, Russia versus China, he'll just get our kids to help him. Well, now I had some white on my face for real that time. Excuse me, y'all. But I think what I'm saying is more important. Man, what is it? Is that gray hair that I'm looking at? I hate that when I go on camera, and I don't like starting over. But Putin stayed out of our conflicts. Now, it's obvious that he had a better relationship with Trump, and more than likely he wouldn't have done that if Trump had still been in office. They respect Trump more. What's weird is this: democracy is more along the lines of communism and fascism, but a conservative president like Trump had better relations with the foreign leaders of these communist nations than Biden does. That's how I knew. I used to tell people, watch, something gonna happen. And of course, Democrats, to take your mind off their bad job, is always some type of race thing, riot, political stuff going on. Always, always, always. Y'all can't see this because y'all respect your grandparents and your parents too much. What do I mean by that? Too much is when you respect somebody to the point where you agree with them even when they are wrong. That's too much respect. Because your goal should be truth, men and women. Where you cling to the truth, regardless of who it offends, regardless of who don't like it. When you tell the truth, and when you know the truth, people ain't gonna like it. Platforms not gonna like it. They don't like people who tell the truth. They like people who act like they don't know anything. Diving in lakes and stuff. But truth people are not popular in today's world. People will just try to cancel them out. Keep telling on them at work, talking about them behind their back. Little immature grown men, this is what they do. You have to work with people like that. They gonna always make some type of joke or talk down on you. But then when you leave, they gonna know that the environment been impacted, that it's not gonna be the same. So you'll see them out and about, they won't even be acting like that no more. But when you was working with them, I gotta stretch my arm out. They act like they had a problem with everything concerning you. That's why you don't talk about this stuff at work. If you are a W-2 employee, even if you are a business person, stick to the business, stick to the work. Don't be at work talking about Putin and how if Trump was in office. See, I can do that because I don't have to go to these jobs. And even if I do, decide to go to one, I'll be in position where at any moment's notice, I could just go back to what I've been doing. So, the Ukraine government says that Russia attacked them aggressively from multiple directions. Now they're claiming that they're actually winning. But I can't say that. I mean, from what I know about weapons training, and watching the news, Russia is not going to lose to them. It's not going to happen. In fact, if they keep talking, he's going to come at them even harder. And Biden says Putin made his threats. Biden responds to his threats. I'll tell you what we should do. Why don't we let them get in the ring? Or why don't we let our top mercenary go against their top mercenary? But all of these people that don't have no say, nothing to do with it, I think that people need to learn how to solve their issues without putting other people's lives at stake, if possible. It's possible for Biden. All he has to do is try to get sanctions against them and get the rest of the world to agree with him. Because if he sends troops in, they'll end up being World War III, and it's not that serious, I don't believe. Now, Putin may be just trying to turn Russia into the old Russia. But the U.S. is hypocritical because they're trying to make this communist. They're trying to get rid of free, independent thinking. They're trying to get rid of homeschool, private school. They're trying to, all that they can do to make this more fascist, more communist. They don't like capitalism. Capitalism is what separates us from a Russia or a China. People being able to choose the religion of their choosing makes us different from Russia, China, Cuba. But what do y'all go do? I see people on their phone paying for stuff. Like, why? So you telling me that whipping your phone out paying for stuff is more convenient than having cash in your wallet? I think a lot of people just don't like to count, and what they don't realize is you making them think like a lot of things the governments will do to test the masses. And if they see that y'all not carrying cash around, that's going to give them more leeway to control what we all spend, which is basically communism. It's communism. I don't really like to talk against these nations because communism is their way of life. It's always been their way of life. And if they don't want it to be their way of life, all they have to do is get everybody in their family that they deal with out. And I'm sure it's not as easy as it sounds. But it can be done. It can be done. So that's a little update for you. They are fighting over there. And what the U.S.'s role is going to end up being, hopefully nothing. But knowing Biden is going to say something or do something. Why? Because Biden is not a good decision maker or a great speaker. He, like many other Democrats, they're going to cheat their way into everything. They're going to lie their way into everything. Not saying that Republicans are perfect, but Democrats And democracy depends on controlling the masses, their way of life, their way of thought, or their thought process. So he's going to use war. And if war doesn't work, it'll be another goofy police thing. And y'all ever notice, why is it always in Minneapolis? Like, are those half of their police force actors, crisis actors? I be wondering this stuff sometimes. But Putin ain't playing. He's not playing. And I made a post on Facebook where I showed a clip from the movie The Last Dragon. And I showed everybody's role in it. Like the one where Shonuff said, "Kiss my Converse." I broke down all the characters in that. And I'm going to be doing a lot of movie breakdowns in the future. So, in that particular scene, you have Shonuff, you have his minions with him, then you have Leroy and the people he was teaching karate. So Shonuff wanted Leroy to fight. He wanted to provoke him to fight because he wanted to show that he was the best fighter in Harlem or whatever. So he told him to kiss his Converse, which is basically trying to punk him, which is basically what Russia is doing with Ukraine. And Leroy wouldn't bow down to him, so he said, "Maybe y'all can get a rise out of this limp wimp." So it was 3 girls. They were doing fake kicks towards him and stuff. And then there was a guy named Beast and another guy which played the Giggler on Death Wish, which is another movie I'm going to give commentary on soon. So I broke down all the characters. The woman that hit him and he rose up to fight, and it made Shonuff say, "Yeah, come on, Leroy." So Shonuff thought Leroy was going to fight him. Then instead of fighting him, he bowed down. Shonuff represents Russia. So in the scene, one of the students, one of the other people who were friends with Leroy, jumped out like he was Bruce Lee or something. Said, "Enough. You want to fight? Fight me." He insulted him. Told him his breath stank, this, that. So Shonuff said, "Beast, get him." Beast represents China. To me, that guy that jumped out represents the United States and Biden. "You want to fight? You fight me." Like he jumped out like he really, for a minute they thought he knew how to fight. Not saying U.S. military is strong, but in this situation, I was proving the point. So when Shonuff told Beast to get him, the guy started running around the room, throwing people in the way. Because y'all don't understand that China has Russia's back. Like, China is like Russia's sidekick. So if you fight Russia, you fighting China. And North Korea represent the woman who slapped him in the face. And he rose up to fight, but then bowed down. So when they caught the other guy, Beast had him in a chokehold. And Beast told him to bow down before I snapped his neck in 2. That's like, let's say China attacks the U.S. to get the Ukraine to give in. That's what that reminded me of if that happened. I had dreams and visions. Y'all understand that I'm a prophet. That in the last days, like, we all had to fight. Like, we was getting killed left and right. No, I ain't gonna say we. No, people. I was in the dream. I'm just gonna say people, though. And the U.S. did something that offended the whole world. And it was the U.S. against the world. And I saw all these planes in the sky with all these different countries' names on it. I think that was the Most High's way of showing me the vision. So they was dropping bombs on us, and they was getting on the ground to fight us, and we was fighting back, getting them, but it was too much. And then the dream ended. I had a dream about 9/11 before it happened. That in the dream I was on the plane and everything went blank. I had peace, but it got quiet. And it seemed like I was still alive and everybody else was dead. And I don't mean this on the, my heart still goes out for the families because they're still dealing with this to this day, I'm sure. But I'm just talking about the dream. And like when the plane went down, it's like everything got quiet and it went dark, but I still could see and I still was coherent and at peace. So the Bible says there is war, there will be wars and rumors of wars. This meaning there's gonna be some fighting. Like they over there fighting. And it's going to be rumors of wars. Like at this point, the U.S. versus Russia is just a rumor. Get Trump back in there, it's all going to go away. Get somebody like Trump. See, I think we should always have a conservative president and vice president. I don't believe that we should have balance or we should have lopsided legislature, though. I think that it should always be the Democrats have one side, the Republicans have one side. Why do I say that, being a conservative? Because there's old people, they're disabled people. We don't need them. Don't mess with them. Now, I know people vote Democrat thinking they're going to mess with them, and we don't know for sure. But there has been attempts. There has been. And Trump really... Y'all hate Trump, but Trump be vetoing some of that stuff. And Trump ain't perfect, but let's be honest. Who's going to be better than he was? All y'all is hiding that voted for Biden. Y'all was talking about riding for Biden. I say now y'all hiding for Biden. Because his approval rating is gone. He doesn't have one. It's gone. And Kamala Harris, she can't even, all you gotta do is make her talk for 15 minutes. And one of her aides is gonna be trying to save her. Because she gonna start stumbling. No. Y'all voted for Biden out of spite. And don't think these American leaders, or these, not American leaders, but these world leaders can't see that. Like Putin. Putin makes jokes about Biden all the time. Watch the news. Even when he talks to him, it's almost like he has a smirk on his face. One thing you don't understand about Libras. I'm a Libra. Putin is a Libra. One of our dark sides is we'll do something to gain revenge over something that we felt was unfair. So let's say Putin thinks that they cheated to get Trump out of there. He gonna make people sweat. Libras do that kind of stuff sometimes. Libras in their perfect state are the fairest people. But in our imperfect state, we can be very vengeful and vindictive. And the thing about it, Trump was a Gemini. I don't care, you little Christians and stuff. Listen, man, Christianity is not the chosen only way. So if you choose not to understand astro and the horoscopes, as they're called, what they really were called the Mazareth. But if you choose not to understand that the characteristics are valid, That's you. But I've noticed myself, knowing the characteristics, that people that are born the same days think the same. Whether it's Snoop Dogg, Vladimir Putin, Coach Greg Adams, me, in our perfect state, we're going to be fair. In our imperfect state, we can be very vindictive. In our perfect state, we can be loving and caring. In our imperfect state, we can say, man, forget him. He don't do nothing for me. That's what some of this is about. Geminis and Libras in the light state, in their perfect state, they have agreement. They get along. When they get away from that, like let's say Trump and Putin were in their dark state. Trump would be two-faced, because Geminis in their dark state can be very two-faced and sneaky. Putin would be disloyal and vengeful. But in their light state, they're going to agree and be able to deal with each other. Like at my old job, I noticed like the Geminis, they understood a lot of the things I said and did. Whereas like, this stuff is important. I know I'm kind of off subject, but I'm proving the point as to why. Matter of fact, let's look it up. Let's look up. Give me 1 second and we're going to close in a minute. Ukraine. President. Okay, this is his name. Vladimir Zelensky, right? Let's see. What is his birthday? Why ain't they giving us information on this dude? Hold on, give me a second. They ain't giving us no information on this dude. Ukraine. President birthday. Libras are strong in court. They're strong. They have strong judgment. So, yeah, that you see what I'm saying? He is a, wait a minute. Let's see, January 25th. January 25th. Give me a second. Aquarius. Now, Libras are the worst with Aquarius, but they're not the most compatible with them either. Let's see. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're both in the dark. Libra compatibility. Actually they are. Incompatibility signs. I think Biden is a Taurus. Okay, listen to this. Listen to this. I'm going to try to wrap this up in a couple minutes. It's talking about Libras. It said, your Libra friend is likely a conversational whiz. Y'all know anybody like that? Me? Coach Greg? Snoop? Will Smith? Unfortunately, Kim Kardashian? Plenty of them. Now look, same thing that happened with Kim and Kanye. They both went in the dark. What happened? She started acting two-faced. He started acting disloyal. That stuff matters, man. People don't realize that wars sometimes brew over this stuff. Now it says, your Libra friend is likely a conversational whiz who can hold court in all kinds of social situations. Libra is socially curious and always interested in the ways humans interact and think. What is the first thing Putin said about Biden? That he's not that smart and he can't speak. Listen to this. The typical Libra likes to keep an eye on what's fair. Like okay, I can give you a perfect example, and I'm not taking up for Putin. What did Putin do when the U.S. was attacking people that he got along with? He stayed out of the way. Now, and does their best to remain impartial. See, he's on the dark side kind of with this war. Hearing all sides of arguments, not jumping to conclusions or reacting out of anger. See, on our dark side, we react out of anger. You see what I'm saying? So something probably happened in the negotiations with him and the Ukraine president. So like it says, when we in our perfect state, we try not to react out of anger. Like just yesterday, for example, minding my own business, doing my business. I go to pay for something. And this person is acting passively aggressive with it. I didn't react out of anger. I just got my goods and left. It says they know all arguments have several sides and they are curious to hear them. It says this sign is also famously flexible and happy to let their partner or friends make decisions about where to go, what to do. Now, remember, in our perfect state, we're decisive. One of our negative traits, we're indecisive. Remember how at first he was saying he wasn't going to attack? Now he attacked. Okay, it says popular jobs for this sign include anything in the law. Corrections. A Libra in corrections is going to be fair. That only people that said I wasn't fair, they was lying. I never punished or gave consequences to people who didn't deserve it based on their behavior. And if I was wrong, I always found a way to reverse it. Always. That was easy for me. Now it says, whatever profession Libras find themselves in, they'll often take on the role of mediator. This means that when anyone at the office needs to settle a dispute or figure out what's fair, Libras usually come to the rescue. Now, normally if you watch Putin, if you watch these type of people, if you watch videos on YouTube of Libra content creators, they're going to give both sides. And some of these other sides will troll some of these Libra content creators when they, like for instance, Libras can get along with Leos, but Leos sometimes act like they always got to be first. And they always got to be heard, whether they're right or wrong. So that's where the clash normally comes in with them. I'm telling you, some of these wars, the reason why I'm bringing this up, And I believe that this war didn't even have to be a war. It probably started out as a disagreement. If we can see into the meetings that they had. And Putin probably looked at it like, because this is another thing we do now. If I know I can beat you, and you trying to act like I can't beat you, it's offensive. So it's gonna get a little worse, y'all. Cause they talking about they done killed or canceled 50 Russians. They trying to make it look like they handling them. Don't do that to no Libra. That's a no-no. Let's go into a little more characteristics. And the reason why, like I say, I'm bringing this up in closing is because you got to understand how Libras think. Vladimir Putin is a Libra. That's why if you haven't noticed that Russia is still communist, but it's not the same level of communism as it was, say, under Stalin or any of those in the past. Now listen to this. It says they possess the superpower of being able to see things from multiple sides, and unfortunately this can lead to a heavy dose of indecision and anxiousness. Right now I'm dealing with it because I see both sides. Like I see my wife and my son don't want to move right now because housing is bad everywhere. And I see that point, but I also see that I'm business oriented and that I want to be in a place where I can get comfortably rich without all of these people trying to target me because they're not rich. So I see both sides. And it's creating cold feet. It's creating indecision. Case in point, I had a job lined up in Arizona. And then I watched some videos, and it's like those guys were getting beat up, like they were scared of the subjects. And I didn't want to be in no environment where I'm the only one that's not scared and that I get jumped. So I said, nah, this ain't, your guys. I told them the truth. I said, your guys, I watched those videos. It seemed like they were scared. In the corrections field, you need guys that are not scared of the individuals that they're dealing with. That's one thing about where I used to work. We had some guys that were, but we had mostly guys that weren't. So when situations came up, we could handle it easy. I told my wife, I wish I could take, I mentioned 5 guys from that facility to Arizona, and I would have went. And one or two of them, they not the biggest guys, but they tough. Those guys was running away. It created indecision in me, and I ended up turning down that offer. So, like I said, these traits. Okay, now listen to this. This means when anyone at the office needs to settle a dispute, figure out what's fair, Libras usually come to the rescue. They possess the superpower of being able to see things from multiple sides. And unfortunately, reading this again, this can lead to a heavy dose of indecision and anxiousness. That's why they fighting. Now, Libras like to be liked. We do. But I also had that other side where once I know you don't like me, I don't be one to deal with you. And again, look how he was with Trump. Look how he is with Biden. Y'all think this stuff ain't real? Let me keep reading. Libras are also famously charming both in and out of the office. Do you ever hear his daughters talking bad about him? You barely hear anything from his daughters. It says, no, I'm going to skip that. Client acquisition, whining and dining, and customer service are all in Libra's wheelhouse. Look, I'm not going to tell y'all which platforms I'm on. But, like, I had a fit of rage yesterday. I'm going to tell you about this, because this goes hand in hand with what I'm showing you about Putin and possibly about this situation. I'm letting you get into the mind of a Libra. See, once we know that we can't negotiate with you, that's when we start getting cutthroat and can be very aggressive in some situations. Now, it says, Libras will wine and dine you if they know you're loyal to them and they know you respect them. If you get in an argument over something involving fairness with a Libra, that's going to turn into something. Now, there are no absolutes when it comes to compatibility, but Libras typically gravitate towards folks who can help them fight for what's right. Geminis, in their light state. But when they start acting two-faced, that's when that bond usually gets broke. It says, here are their most compatible, and look what the first one is, Gemini. And who's a Gemini? Trump. See? Now, Aquarius is secondary. So, this how I noticed something was said between Putin and the other president that created tension between them. It says, though there may be obstacles along the way, Libra can match well with opposing sign Aries. And these two stand to learn a lot from each other. My sons are Aries. And we play video games, like, the only time we get into it is like if they being selfish, like they not, because Libras are team players. When the Aries is being a team player, they can get along with Libras. Look, oh my goodness. Now listen to this. Now see, we gonna have to look up Biden after this in closing. Water signs, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces tend to be a little too emotional for the typical Libra's taste. Let's see what Biden is. Let's see what he is. Joe Biden. Now see? Okay. Trump sides with Putin as Biden tries to stop a war. Bam! Biden is a Scorpio. I'm telling you this stuff. Y'all gotta pay attention to this. Y'all listen to those pastors who don't know nothing about nothing. Same birthday as my father, November 20th, Scorpio. Now let's go back. Oh, man. Again. Hold on. We got to go back a little bit. It says, I don't know why it's not coming up, but in closing, it says that Scorpios tend to be too emotional. What did Putin mention about Biden? Some of this stuff, I'm telling you, it be these subtle yet minuscule, or if that's the word for minor differences. They tend to be too emotional. I remember this one conversation. This one guy, I mean, we got along so. But to me, it's like he always was saying something goofy. So we got along until he said something goofy. That's how it always was. Like it says, Libras tend to get along with people and can't get along with almost anybody. But like it says, they tend to be too emotional. So the guy comes out of the weight room. And all I said was, man, you in there pumping it up, huh? He said, yeah, I can DAM near bench press your ASS. And I said, I doubt it. He said, you'll come up short, and said my last name. I said, nah, I don't think so. So he brought up, I don't know, it seemed jokingly, because that's how he acts, but he brought up fighting. Don't do that with a Libra. Don't bring up fighting. I want to know what that Ukraine president said. Don't bring up fighting. Because the quickest person to get in a fight, and you bringing up fighting, is a Libra. A lot of these guys shooting people out here, some of them are Libras. That's one thing you do not jump. Okay, let me give you another scenario. All this to prove my point. It was this one guy at the place I worked. He was locked up in there. He was a Libra, right? People were getting mad at him because he was always saying, that's not fair, this is not fair. They thought he was a snitch. Because people, when they got away with something, he always saying that's not fair, and this, that, this. And he wasn't the best fighter, like with his hands. But he was known on the streets for shooting people. And people was getting mad. That's Howard Little Pet right there. That's Howard Little Top Agent. But they didn't understand that it was that connection. Like in terms of, a person can be a criminal, they still gonna have characteristics when they thinking right, characteristics when they thinking wrong. A Libra that's not thinking right will end up in prison. So they didn't like the fact that he was telling me about everything. And they didn't realize that he was doing it because they was getting away with too much. And he was even saying that, Howard, man, these guys don't deserve nothing, man. If anything, you should let this guy clean up. He didn't even always say himself. He said, man, he just cleaned up last night. That's not fair. Because we let him clean up, like, and give him extra snacks and stuff like that, extra time on the phone, whatever. But when he got upset, like if somebody tried to fight him in there, he sometimes shot at him when they both got out. And now he's in jail right now for indecisive decisions. But he always showed me respect. And I even talked to him on the phone when his little brother was in there. Like he, that's just how it is. The point I'm making in closing is this, that it's a lot more factors to war than y'all understand. Some of it could just be personality disagreements, which anything Biden says, if it's not like true or right, Putin's going to throw it away. Notice how Trump probably knows more about why they're fighting this war than than Biden does. But I'm going to close. I just wanted to talk about that. Russia and Ukraine are fighting. I want to go into some details. I want to talk about some of the possible reasons. A lot of these conflicts just be like personality disagreements. Like Trudeau and Trump. What? We'll look that up another time. I'm way past how much I want to spend on this. But this is the truth, man. The channel is the No Matrix, No Simping, All Subjects channel. We got a war going on, y'all. We got a Scorpio at president. Nothing against you Scorpios that will watch this. That, like I say, some Libras think that Scorpios are too emotional for their taste. I got a sister-in-law that's a Scorpio. Way too emotional. Always putting her foot in her mouth. Just always saying goofy stuff. The stuff is true, y'all. But thanks for watching. Smash that like button. Keep tuning in. Watch the video. If it's too long for you, break it up so you can see everything that I said in this video.